In this video, we want to evaluate sine of negative 13 pi over 6. So the first thing that we need to do is find the reference angle of negative 13 pi over 6. And to do that, well, let's convert radians into degrees first, because that will be an easier way to find the reference angle. So I'm going to rewrite negative 13 pi over 6 down here, and we want to multiply that by 180 over pi because we want to knock out this pi, and negative 13 times 180 is going to be negative 2340, and that's all divided by 6. And then if we reduce that, that's going to give us a negative 390 degrees. Okay, and we could do a good job of graphing this angle of rotation. Okay, so our angle of rotation is going to start from our initial side right there, and since it's negative, we want to graph it clockwise. So we're going to start rotating downwards. So that's going to be negative 90, negative 180, negative 270, and then all the way to negative 360. But we need to get to negative 390, so we're going to go just past that. Okay, there's our terminal side right there. And our reference angle is always going to be from the terminal side to the closest x-axis, which is right there. Now, if this was negative 390 and this was negative 360, the difference between those two is just 30 degrees. Our reference angle is going to always be positive, and in this case it's going to be a positive 30 degrees. So we want to actually find sine of 30 degrees. So let's pull up or kind of set up a 30, 60, 90 right triangle right here. Okay, so this is going to be 30 down here. We'll make this 60. Across from the 30 is going to be 1. Across from the 60 is going to be the square root of 3, and then across from the 90 is going to be 2. So sine of 30, sine is always going to be opposite over hypotenuse, so O over H. The opposite side of 30 down here is 1, and then the hypotenuse of this triangle is going to be 2, so we put that right there. Now we've got the value of sine of 30, so let's go back to this. We've got sine of negative 13 pi over 6. That's going to be 1/2. Okay, now the last thing that we have to do is decide whether it's going to be a positive 1/2 or a negative 1/2. So I'm going to pull up my ordered pair. It's kind of like a formula, I guess. But in a unit circle, we have cosine of theta comma sine of theta. Our cosine of theta is going to match up with our x's. Our sine of theta is going to match up with our y's. So since we're working with sine right here, we want to figure out what sine our y value is going to be given the terminal angle in the fourth quadrant. So we want to work right here in the fourth quadrant. So we ask ourselves, do we have a positive value or a negative value down here for sine of theta or y? And we know that we're always going to have negative values for y's in this quadrant. So this actually has to become a negative 1/2. So that would be our final answer right here. Sine of negative 13 pi over 6 equals a negative 1/2.